In 1945, the United Nations was formed from the ashes of World War II as a platform to maintain long-awaited peace and order across the globe. China was one of the founding member states of the body, as well as the first country to sign the Charter of the United Nations. After 1949, Beijing stated that the government of the People's Republic of China was the sole legal government of the country, calling for the expulsion of Taiwan's Kuomintang representative from the UN. However, the demand was met with opposition, mainly from the United States. In 1961, the 16th UN General Assembly put China's representation on its agenda. In 1971, the draft resolution known as Resolution 2758 was passed with an overwhelming majority of votes. The dual representation draft resolution submitted by the US, Japan, and other countries immediately became null and void. The Chinese people finally restored their seat at the UN, which truly made the UN the biggest international organization in the world. Rousing applause as Chinese delegates entered the Assembly Hall of the United Nations on October 25, 1971. The restoration of China's lawful seat in the 26th UN General Assembly represented a major victory for China. It was a major breakthrough in China's diplomacy.
我们主张，任何国家的事要由这个国家的人民自己来管，全世界的事要由世界各国来管，联合国的事要由参加联合国的所有国家共同来管，不允许超级大国操纵不垄断。
Over the past 50 years, China has been a builder of world peace, a contributor to global development, and a defender of international order and provider of public goods.
2021年对中国人民是一个极其特殊的年份。今年是中国共产党成立100周年，今年也是中华人民共和国 恢复在联合国合法席位50周年，中国将隆重纪念这一历史性事件。
China plays today a very important role in different aspects of the UN activity. Peacekeeping, for instance, is an area where China has enormously developed its commitment. We have China totally supportive of the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, and very engaged in South-South cooperation.
China has been a very committed member of the United Nations, contributing immensely to the maintenance of international peace and security, development, and international dialogue.
The UN is the banner of multilateralism. China maintains that practicing true multilateralism is the only way to solve the complex problems in today's world.
各国共同认可的体系只能是以联合国为核心的国际体系，各国共同维护的秩序只能是以国际法为基础的国际秩序，各国共同遵守的规则只能是以 联合国宪章宗旨和原则为根基的国际关系基本准则。
China has, since the beginning, believed that international cooperation on very important issues is vital for a positive role of the United Nations.
Peacekeeping has always been a top priority of the UN. Over the past 50 years, China's armed forces have had over 50,000 officers and soldiers in 29 United Nations peacekeeping missions, the most of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council. They've been deployed as UN peacekeepers to over 20 countries and regions.
We have more than 2,000 Chinese peacekeepers. They're providing an excellent service in the missions in which they serve. But in addition to that, China is now the second largest financial contributors to peacekeeping, and that is, of course, also very important to that. So we very much count on that support from China.
New challenges emerged worldwide when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. China will strive to provide a total of 2 billion doses of vaccines to the world by the end of this year. Under the UN COVAX program, China is also on track to donate 100 million vaccine doses to developing countries by the end of 2021.
I talked to Mr. Xi Jinping, who received it very well, and he said immediately he sent us vaccines, and we started to buy, Sinopharm, that is the vaccine that we are receiving regularly, and I have to be very grateful with Mr. Xi Jinping and all the Chinese government.
China has always upheld the principle of supremacy of life and the importance of everyone's value and dignity. Since the start of the pandemic, China has sent medical teams to 34 countries, provided medical materials to 150 countries, and arranged virtual meetings involving more than 180 countries.
The COVID-19 pandemic has reminded us in the most powerful way that we are closely interconnected, and only by upholding multilateralism, supporting the UN, and strengthening cooperation and solidarity can we defeat the pandemic and build resilience against the future challenges.
China is the first developing country to achieve the poverty alleviation target set in the UN's Millennium Development Goals. China has lifted 800 million people out of poverty since the late 1970s, accounting for more than 70% of the world's poverty reduction during that time, hitting the UN goal 10 years ahead of schedule.
我国脱贫攻坚战取得了全面胜利。现行标准下，9899万农村贫困人口全部脱贫。
Poverty eradication remains one of China's most remarkable achievements over the last 30-40 years.
China has also helped other developing countries by strengthening South-to-South cooperation, reducing or eliminating their debts.
And on South-South cooperation, because China is coming as a leading country now in providing resources to other countries, whether grants, whether concessional loans, whether also loans, interest-free loans in many developing countries.
China is also forging ahead toward achieving the UN's Millennium Development Goals on improving education, gender equality, and reducing child mortality. China is a firm supporter of the World Trade System based on WTO rules aimed at maintaining the stability of the global industrial chain. China's Belt and Road Initiative has become the world's largest platform for international cooperation. So far, a total of 173 countries and international organizations have signed more than 200 cooperation agreements with China on the joint building of the Belt and Road.
The railway line between the Serbian and the Hungarian capitals, Belgrade and Budapest, is now being upgraded, which will offer the quickest delivery route from the Greek ports to the western part of Europe on railway for the Chinese goods. Also, this cooperation is multifaceted. This cooperation is based on mutual respect, and we are very satisfied with that.
China has successfully hosted the annual China International Imports Expo since 2018, sealing $200 billion worth of deals. The China-led Infrastructure Investment Bank has provided $22 billion in infrastructure investment to its members, approving 108 projects. While the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation has come a long way in strengthening China-Africa solidarity and friendship.
We are looking forward to that. We have several serious infrastructure projects that we have developed, and we need to put them out. It's not just about physical infrastructure, but now that we are moving towards the digital world, we have to put in the digital infrastructure.
As the world develops and its population grows, human impact on climate and global warming has become more evident. China is a dedicated supporter of the Kyoto Protocol and the UN Paris Accord, and has adopted a series of major policies to ensure their green goals can be reached on schedule.
中国将力争2030年前实现碳达峰，2060年前实现碳中和。这需要付出艰苦努力，但我们会全力以赴。
The Chinese city of Kuomintang virtually hosted Part 1 of the UN Biodiversity Conference COP15 in October, bringing the global community together toward the shared goal of ensuring a better future. As President Xi mentioned in his recent speech at the UNGA, a world of peace and development should embrace civilizations of various forms and must accommodate diverse paths to modernization. China always pursues dialogue and inclusiveness over confrontation and exclusion, aiming at building international relations based on mutual respect, equity, justice, and win-win cooperation.
Today, you can see an emergence of more and more African countries having an equal voice in South America, in Asia. So I find that China's leadership in the multilateral space is absolutely critical.
China will continue to honor its responsibilities, work with all parties to build a community of shared future for mankind, and firmly support multilateralism and the United Nations.
我们将继续积极推动中国同联合国合作迈向新台阶，为联合国崇高事业不断做出新的、更大贡献。